Okay. Okay, let's call the meeting to order and have the roll call, please. Erica?
Sure. Chair Smith Carvello and Commissioner Rath notified us that they would be absent.
Oh, Rath absent too.
So Vice Chair Collin will be acting as chair. I'll go ahead and start roll call. Vice Chair Collin,
Here.
Commissioner Dawson,
Here.
Commissioner Humbero,
Here.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Here.
and Commissioner Rodriguez.
Here.
And I'll go ahead and announce staff members present. We have Principal Planner Roveri, Associate Planner Buggert, and myself, Recording Secretary Barrera.
Now we open the consent agenda. Is that right? Is there, and it looks like we have a guest. Would this be the time to introduce the guest?
I can go ahead and let the public know how they can join the meeting.
That would be good. Yes.
Members
you.
of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/Monterey, City of Monterey, and also streamed on Comcast Channel 25. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-739-7120. If prompted for a participant ID, press pound. Detailed instructions for using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name they've typed into Zoom. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Please turn off TV or computer speakers or go to another room while connected, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. Public speakers will be called upon in order of hands raised. There is a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting. Please stay within that limit. We do have one attendee, however, their hand is not raised.
Okay. I'm a little confused here, so maybe you can help me. Would we be approving the minutes now, or this public comments for items not on the agenda?
Right now, we're in the consent agenda and the only thing in it is the minutes, and
Okay.
the public does have the chance to participate and make comments on the consent agenda.
Okay.
But Erica said that there were no hands raised online, and I think that's, are you the applicant?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't see anyone wanting to make a comment on the
Okay.
consent
So
agenda.
perhaps we should approve the minutes then from last month. Did anyone have anything to add or question?
I'm good.
Everybody's good? I'm good.
I'll move that we accept the minutes as written.
Okay, second, please. Okay, 2 Carols. Carol O'Neill moved and Carol Dawson seconded. All right, and now we'll move on to,
We can do a roll call vote.
oh, we have to do the roll call vote, sorry,
It's okay.
forgot.
Vice Chair Collin,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner Humbero,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Aye.
and Commissioner Rodriguez.
Abstain because I wasn't here.
Okay.
Oh, you know what, I wasn't here either.
Okay, I'll go ahead. So we have 3 yeses, 2 have abstained, and there are 2 absent, but the minutes are still approved.
All right, and so now we're going to move on to the public appearance. Would that be right, Fernanda?
All right, now it's public comments on items not on the agenda.
Oh, not what I mentioned earlier. All right. Is there anyone that wants to speak to that?
There's still no
Okay.
hands raised.
Okay, so nothing. So we'll move on then. And to the first public appearance, would that be right? Okay. So do we introduce this lady right here? For the,
You may introduce the title of the item, the public hearing item,
okay,
and then the applicant will have the chance to speak after the staff presentation.
all right. All right, so we're considering 559 Pacific Street, the sign application for the Monterey Museum of Art. And the 3 signs I remember in the banner. So do we have comments from, or I guess we have the staff. Matthew, are you the person who would be
I am indeed.
doing that right
We have a
now?
staff presentation prepared. for-
Great, that would be great. Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Buggert. I'm an associate planner with the City of Monterey's Planning Division. Today, we're here to talk about 559 Pacific Street, across the street from here, for sign permit application SI 220234 for banner and wall signage. The recommendation from staff is that the HPC repeal resolution number H23-001 and adopt the resolution to approve sign permit SI 220234. The last time that we were here, the application was approved with the condition that the applicant return to HPC for approval of the banner. And this is the most efficient way to get that review done. The site is designated by the general plan as both commercial and parks and open space. It is 2 parcels. And the zoning is planned community downtown H2, which is locally significant historic designation. Some of the site background was gone over at the previous hearing, but for a reminder, this was the former Monterey County building and also served as the J.E. Freeman Mortuary Building and is significant under criterion 1 and 3, both for significance from a historical context and also the architecture of the building. In 1982, the porte cochere that's on the right side here was removed and replaced with a 2-story addition and elevator shaft, which we'll see in some of the following photos. The applicant proposal is the replacement of 3 wall signs, the removal of 1 wall sign, retaining 2 rotating banner signs on the building, and to propose 1 new rotating banner sign on the elevator shaft. The 3 bullet points on top were previously approved, and like mentioned, we're returning to HPC for review for the rotating banner sign on the elevator shaft. Just to briefly go over the signs that have already been approved, there's 1 existing sign above the entrance on Calle Principal, which is being replaced with a new branding sign. On the Pacific Street side facing City Hall, it includes the removal of a previous wall sign that was on there, and then a replacement of the rightmost wall sign with updated branding. And the 2 rotating banner signs here would remain under the previously approved permit for them. Like so. The side of the building facing Francis Elkins Park, which includes that elevator shaft and 2-story addition, which replaced the porte cochere, includes currently 1 wall sign. And the proposal is to add a rotating banner sign on the elevator shaft, and previously approved was the wall sign on the right side with the new branding. So that banner would be placed on the building. The previous measurements for the wall sign was 9 by 15, which was 144 square feet. And the new dimensions proposed are an 8x14 banner, which is 112 square feet. Some of the findings required for approval is that the proposal achieves the purposes and objectives of the sign ordinance. It would be pointing out the museum and attracting visitors to that museum. That the proposal would be consistent with the sign guidelines, or that the proposal would better achieve the purpose and objective than the strict guidelines that are there. There's an asterisk because I'll be speaking more of it on the next slide. And number 3, that the proposal is consistent with the general plan, which is why we're here today, receiving HPC approval for the recommendations regarding the proposed signage. For number 2, the sign is generally consistent with the sign guidelines, talking about all of the signs being proposed, except for 2 items in particular. One of them, I'm going to go to the second bullet point first, that the total amount of signage on Pacific Street would exceed the allowed number. 3 are proposed. It's a reduction from the existing 4 signs, and this was previously approved at the last HPC hearing. What we're primarily here for today is the first bullet point there, which is the new banner facing Francis Elkins Park, and that it exceeds the maximum allowed area for a wall sign. As mentioned, the proposed sign would be 112 square feet. And a portion of the argument for the larger sign, which the applicant can speak more to soon, is that it fits in with the size of the open face wall that's there. So with that, as mentioned, staff's recommendation is to repeal the previous resolution and adopt the resolution to approve sign permit SI 220234. Apologies for that typo. With that, that concludes staff's presentation. I'm here for any questions. The applicant is also here and may be able to speak a few words as well.
Are there any commissioner comments before we have the speaker? Yes, Carol?
I refer you to page 29 on the packet, page 29. And you'll see on there that there's a sign that you missed. It's the open 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's actually 10 square feet.
Yes, so the open 11 to was a
5.
temporary ban. Oh,
Yeah.
it was a temporary banner, which falls under its own. It's not a permanent banner. They're allowed to be up for a period of up to 30 days.
For how long?
Up to 30 days.
Okay, because it's up now.
And it can be applied for twice in a year.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so the temporary sign doesn't fall under the permanently allowed signs.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have a question or comment? Well, then perhaps we could have our guest introduce herself and make her presentation, please.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Corey Madden. I'm the director of the Monterey Museum of Art. I've been the director since 2020. And I think you all are aware that the Monterey Museum of Art has gone through a rebranding process this year. So that's resulted in rebranding all of our collateral that we print, our website, and also our signage. And one of the things that we are working on in collaboration actually with the city, particularly in the Island of Adobe's district, is to raise awareness about the museum and grow the number of people who visit this district. And so signage, particularly that faces the Cayo Principal and Pacific Street sides, is really important. You all have an amazing view of our banners, but if you drive by Pacific Street, you actually don't see any of those signs because of the way you're moving in the direction that you're moving. And if you come down Cayo Principal, you don't see anything except for the very small sign for the museum itself. So what we know and what we hear and have recorded in terms of data is that most of the public doesn't know the museum is there. So we have a really big need to try to make the public more aware that the museum is there. So that's really our purpose, is to try to help the public be more aware of the museum. And we have a history of creating these kind of vertical banners, which you've seen and which we rotate for shows that help the public know what we're presenting. What we're proposing is actually a season banner that would not change over that often. It would rotate, but just seasonally. And it would really reflect on the historic nature, actually, of the art that we present. So as in this image, which is one of the great images by Reichel, this is an example of the current show that we have now, Monterey Collects, and this is the key image that we're using and the branding. And we would probably use an image like this. So we would really be using artwork from before 1920 in most cases. Can't say that we would do that absolutely every time, but I think that it's important to know that we care about the historic context that we're in and very much want to work within that context. So the idea would be that we'd have a seasonal brochure a seasonal banner that would really forefront the museum's M, and then also just a really beautiful piece of art. And then that's just letting people know what we are and who we are. And we think that that will really help. I think the other thing that you had questions about, I want to acknowledge that the concerns which are about the size really do have to do with thinking about design. And I heard a lot of comments last time about your awareness that we really do want to let our designer who works for us and has worked for us for 10 years make a professional recommendation about the size of the sign in relationship to the site. And what we know is that actually the public will be more uncomfortable with a design that doesn't feel like it fits the space. And so that 8 by 14 change that we've made, which is 20% smaller, actually still looks good in the space. It still makes a good design idea. And I think that that actually is an important thing for us to kind of keep in mind. That we don't want a 4 by 8, for instance. I think you all talked about that, and that would not be a comfortable design on that site. It would actually feel uncomfortable. And I know that you mentioned the signs that were in front of the tunnel for the magic show, and I will agree with you that those were really ugly, mostly, and that isn't what we're going for. We're really going for something beautiful, aesthetic, historic, designerly. And I think you can see that the museum, I want to just share some of our design collateral with you, that this is really what we do and what we're specialists in, is creating really beautiful design and design that really does resonate with the historic nature of the context that we're in. That's really all I can say to you is those we heard your concerns. And aesthetic and historic resonance seem to me to be two of the ones that you really wanted to hear about. And size, I do think we made a significant reduction in what we wanted.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
I'm enjoying all of your advertising here. Are there any public comments? I don't see any public. Is there anything, Erica, online or anything?
There's one attendee online, but their hand is not raised.
Their hand is not raised. Okay. So then do we go back to the commission? Commissioners, yes. Anyone have a comment now after listening to Corey?
I'd like to make comments. I was visiting with a friend of mine and she asked me where I was going and I told her to the HPC meeting. And I said, we're looking at a sign for the Monterey Museum. And she goes, well, they need a sign. I've never been able to even find them. I mean, she knows now after 20 years, but still. And I don't know, is there a way to make it to where when you're driving down the street, you can see a museum sign, or is that just not?
I think that elevator shaft for our current
Okay.
situation is a perfect
That
location
is,
where both Kai Principal and Pacific will see it. It's been nice that they've trimmed the trees. That'll help some too. But I think that particularly on the Kai Principal side, it'll really be visible and it'll be very helpful for us. It's also just about I think if you go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, if you go to any museum in America, they use banners. That's a kind of well-known strategy for how to create really aesthetic, public art. I think that would be the other way for you all to think about this, is that we're really contributing to the public art of the city. And we really think about it seriously. So there is a balance between historic preservation and what I would call engagement with the historic context in which we are. And we want to make sure that people feel that these historic places are alive. And that's one of the things that we really contribute to, is to create a sense of vibrancy, engagement, activity. We're going to have, we hope, over 1,000 people at the museum at the block party. We hope to have about 300 people at the dance party. We're really trying to help make the Island of the Adobes district as significant as possible and really make it, a place that people come, as opposed to what I think I sort of encountered when I first got here, which is that most people don't really know about the Island of the Adobes.
Yes, Carol?
have, just for consideration, I'm really of two sides here. The city has a sign ordinance, which is 50 square feet. This really only came down 20%, so it was 3 times the size that the city ordinance calls for, and they came down a third of that, essentially, less than a third. But on the other hand, it is a big space to fill. If that was a 1-story elevator shaft, it would be a little bit different. And then, is this public art? If we had it on an electrical box in the middle of a street somewhere, we would all go, oh, that's better than an electrical box. So I'm kind of on 2 sides there. I don't think they came down as far as I was hoping in size, but on the other hand, it's a big wall.
It is.
So I haven't actually decided. I was waiting to be persuaded by somebody.
I mean, could I just mention that I think you said that the 2 banners on the other side of the building that you see all the time do exceed the stipulation. We've been doing that for, I think, 15 years.
So you've been out of compliance for years.
Well, no, I think we were approved out of compliance. And I think that that's part of what I would like to, appeal to you all to understand, which is that this is a different kind of thing. This isn't a commercial sign. This is an aesthetic and cultural contribution to the community. And that rather than see it as advertisement, because we are a public service organization, we work in concert with the city. We are promoting the cultural and historic and artistic values of this city. So I really think that comparing us to like a shoe sign is it really, and even to the magic show, we're really not doing either of those 2 things. So I think since we've had a history of being successful with these banners, which I think people really love, that our instinct is that they will love this banner, and that this banner is actually adding to the value of the historic district and creates an experience for people of bringing the building into focus and giving the building a chance to be seen. Otherwise, the building is pretty anonymous. And that is actually the problem, is that we're trying to solve the anonymity of the building by creating a beautiful experience.
May I?
Yes, Juan, please.
I'll say, Carol, what convinced me was they have a designer, and obviously we're taking the word of the designer, but what's the use of having a nice museum or a museum if nobody goes in there? And if the designer believes that, I think you said, wrong shape, wrong size, wrong, fitting repulses people instead of attracting them, and trusting that it's an art museum and they're going to put banners that are tasteful, artistic. That's, I think, what convinced me. I don't know if that helps, but I know design is an art. I know that marketing is an art, and I would love to see that, and we'll be there on Saturday, by the
Thank
way.
you. Yes,
I would
to.
I would love to see that museum used and people attracted to it.
Yes.
I think if there wasn't the city ordinance, I wouldn't, and I don't know why we have ordinances. They then ask us to, having said that, is the Dolly Museum, was that also a public art thing? Did you have a question? I
Well,
thought.
through Monterey History and Art.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, go
The
ahead.
Dolly
Karen.
Museum is for profit, no? I thought.
Well, they do charge an admission.
Well, I
fee.
think the Magic Show was a commercial entity that was leasing within the
But
space. So it
Monterey-
was a
Monterey History and Art runs
different,
that.
different thing. Monterey Art and History is itself a nonprofit,
Right.
but the lease to that client, I believe, was a profit enterprise.
Yeah, and a problem too.
Anyway,
Go
I just
ahead.
wanted to say that the other concern we had was that this would be setting a precedent for larger signs and what our ordinance allows. But I do think we have a good reason here to accept a larger sign for all of the reasons that Juan said. I
Right.
mean, it is public art.
Right.
Yes,
And educational and again, really, really part of the partnership with the city. We really have heard from Hans and other people that,
mhm,
you know, what they would really like to see the museum do is be a beacon in the neighborhood. And this is
Mhm.
an example of something that we're going to do.
agree.
We also, I would say banners are not exactly the same thing as a sign. Actually, they're temporary. They can be taken down.
Right.
If we wanted to have an event where we really wanted the buildings to look in their original form, we could easily take them down. They're not
Mhm.
installed. And actually, we are looking at the signage that was already in place and trying to do less with those signs. Like I think taking that little square that was between that beautiful shape in the, you know, across the way. I think
Mhm.
that was my suggestion, was that I didn't think that was adding anything to the architecture. I thought it took away from the architecture.
Right. I have a comment, Corey. I was a pinned docent for MMA back in the early 2000s. Actually, I was mostly at Via Murata because I'm more into decorative arts. But I think this sign thing, I'm thinking of the sign we approved a couple of years ago, the Dust Bowl Brewing Company. Now, that's a lot different than our beautiful art museum here for the city public. And I know it's always been a problem in terms of the advertising and trying to see the building. You also have a designer who's been there 10 years, you said. I'm glad you had the trees trimmed. I've been managing Carmel Heritage the past year. That was the first thing I did with the city, was get rid of a dead tree so you could see the little museum. So I think that will help a lot too. But I know this size thing. The other signs are smaller. That's what I was going to say too. But I really think you should be approved for this. Any other comment, Jawan?
For staff, so does this mean that I read it's a seasonal sign? Do they have to come back every time they want to change it, or are we approving it for, all right, you can, that size for eternity, or whatever?
That's a
Yeah,
good
the
question.
approval would be that size and it can be changed out indefinitely.
Oh, okay.
And just so you know, we can't afford to change it constantly. It's
Right.
expensive for us to do these, and especially because it is large. So our intention is to have it either for one season or multiple seasons. So we're not planning on surprising you, you know. But again, I think it's important to know that I stand behind making it, you know, something that's beautiful, resonant. You know, we will put those in our design guidelines. And we'd be happy to do that so that any designer and any director who comes after me knows that that's part of the, you know, relationship. We want to have a great relationship with the city.
Yes. It's great. They're lucky to have. Yes, I was just going to suggest that. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve the banner as suggested.
Yeah.
I'm back in the minutes here.
Mm,
That the new proposed banner sign
Right.
be approved
Okay,
And one note,
anyone
to
second?
also repeal the previous.
and repeal,
Oh,
and you'll have to fill in the numbers on that.
repeal.
So
Repeal.
we'll repeal
H23-1.
Oh, okay. I got that.
and approve the new guidelines.
All right. Anyone want to second that?
I second it.
Okay, great. All right, so the motion is that we approve the new size of the banner and repeal the previous H231, Matthew, is that correct?
H23001.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that includes the
I
other
don't know what
signs
I
are
got
still
here.
approved, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So we're ready to get installed.
And we don't have to do anything about the three smaller ones because we took care of that last time, correct, Fernanda?
So we've prepared for you a new resolution
Oh,
in
that
the
would,
packet
that's lovely.
that approves everything all at once, the
Okay.
reduced banner and the 3 wall signs.
And what page is that?
That is packet page 19.
19.
So that's the new resolution, and then the old one starts on packet page 32, and that's the
Oh,
one that we're asking you
Right,
to
I see it
repeal.
now. And 32.
Pretty much the only difference between them is that the previous version had the condition that they return. And so we're just removing that one entirely and then approving everything.
Thank you so much.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Corey, very much.
Absolutely,
We
and I just-
enjoyed meeting you and
I
having your
wanna share this- I
presentation.
know you're coming to the block party, but these are
Yes.
little stickers that you can give your
Oh,
friends.
We need to vote
And
on
then
it.
this, just so you get a chance to see it, this is really just me, throwing about what we've accomplished, which is that this year we
I know
have
we did.
a huge number
know
of
we
people
did.
supporting us,
That's fine.
including local business. And I just am so pleased by all the ways in which we've got the local downtown community helping us. And I just thought I'd send you the sponsors luncheon program, which you can enjoy and just so you know. But we're thrilled. We really appreciate you approving this this matter. And, I think it's not maybe inappropriate for me to say that we do want to continue the conversation with you because the museum is beginning to think about its future. And we really are invested in the historic district. We are in the midst and have been in the midst of planning for the last 2 years and are going to be, wanting to talk with both you, architecture, our cultural, everybody about some plans that we want to start making. And we would like to get some advice about how to do that in the best way possible.
Mhm.
We've done site and business planning, but we haven't moved into any, and we've done historic preservation study. We haven't yet moved into architecture or any of those kinds of things. We also, and I won't say it in this meeting. We have something that we're working on in relationship to a purchase of land and a piece of property in the historic district. And we hope to have good news on that soon. So that
Right.
may also enhance the way in which we contribute to the historic preservation of buildings. So thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And yes, we haven't voted yet. I'm the rookie here today, so sorry about that. Yes, because I wanted to say something to Corey afterwards. So could we have a vote, please, on that new motion and repealing the other?
Sure.
Oh.
Vice Chair Column,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
I,
Commissioner Humbero,
I,
Commissioner O'Neill,
I
and Commissioner Rodriguez.
Aye.
Okay, that's been approved with a vote of 5. The decision is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days. We have applications online or in our planning office.
Yes. Okay, very good. Thank you again. And I just want to tell you, I was at a previous meeting with Peter Hiller today with the Joe Mora Day, as you know, the same as yours. And we put this particular poster of yours around the different buildings. We will be promoting your event too, and I will be there. Yes.
It should be really great. And great examples how we can use that wall.
Yes. Good luck with that.
Thank you again.
All right. Thank you too, Corey.
So they'll
Okay. Anything up in staff? And I'm supposed to thank the staff too very much for your help. There's no members of the public here. How about some comments though from the staff first and then the commission, if you have anything to announce? Fernando?
At the April 4th City Council meeting, we reintroduced historic preservation fees to capture the staff time that it takes to process things like Mills Act applications. Because for the past 5 or 6 years, we weren't charging for Mills Acts and removal of historic properties from the reconnaissance survey and things like that. And now we are charging because it takes a lot of our time, it takes a lot of your time.
Mhm.
So it's a fee recovery solution.
That's a good idea.
And oh, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can send you the fee schedule if that helps. And then we, on the March 21st city council meeting, the city council adopted the 2022 general plan annual report. And the general plan is our guidance document for development and land use decisions in the city. And one of our elements in that general plan is the historic preservation element.
Mm.
And so that's where we have the Mills Act as an objective to serve as an incentive for historic preservation. And so we reported that we had evaluated, that Matthew had evaluated all Mills Act properties
Mm.
in the year 2022. So that went to the state of California for, as an accomplishment
Mm.
for our historic
Great.
preservation program.
Very good.
And we don't have any items for the May 11th HPC meeting yet. So we'll let you know if we receive anything or if we will cancel. And then we also listed, Erica put together a list of historic/cultural events
Mhm.
happening this month.
Looks like you hit everything, Erica.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, just one thing, but let me ask the rest of the commission first. If they have any comments, announcements? Anything from anyone? The only one, it was going to be this Saturday, but there's so much going on. James Perry with the Monterey County Historical Society is having an open house next Saturday, the 22nd, at the Baranda Adobe from 10 to 4 in Salinas.
Is this to, because they canceled, AMAP canceled their previous one.
Right.
Is this?
Yeah, this is,
an AMAP
this is
event?
this is the alternate date or
Okay.
whatever, right? So I just found that out. That's all I have.
12 to 4.
Pardon me?
12 to 4, you said?
10 to 4, 10 to 4, yes, yes. And anything else from anyone? No? So we go nice and early today. Gee, I didn't do this when we opened up, everybody. So I will announce we're adjourning.